may be at church. You may be at work. You may be asleep. God grant that you will be ready when he makes his personal appearance. My God, what if his appearance occurs on a Sunday morning? My prophetic word to you this morning is get ready! Get ready!
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Share, subscribe, like this video, make sure you put your prayer requests in the bottom. So far I've managed to keep the power on, but it has been on and off, and flickering. We've now had a couple hours of nothing but sleet. They've called for an emergency. They've declared a state of emergency here in West Virginia, and requiring, right now they're saying we have pretty much all of our salt trucks are wrecked in the ditches. And they're not letting no more go out because the roads are so treacherous here. I do hear trees snapping in the back. I've been hearing it now for the last 30-40 minutes, somewhere around that range. But I figured I'd go ahead and do another program, and hopefully it gets on. Let's see. All right, let's jump right into this. Erdogan's policy in Syria brings Turkey and Israel closer to confrontation. With Erdogan's anti-Israel stance and rival interest in Syria, experts warn that the two parties, or looks like the two countries, are now Turkey is a future Magog player. And the seeds have been sown for a while that this is going to happen. But eventually this is coming together with Israel and Turkey. The relationship between Israel and Turkey is heading to more turbulence, as recent developments in Syria pitch the two countries against each other, and a potential of developing into a direct armed confrontation. This is all Bible prophecy, these two players right here. On Wednesday, tens of thousands of people demonstrated against Israel in Istanbul, expressing solidarity with the Palestinians in Gaza after almost a year and a half of a bloody war between Israel and Hamas. Turkish President Erdogan has led Turkish anti-Israel sentiment for years, and he is not a fan of the Jews. The war, which began a surprise offensive in Hamas on October the 7th, which we're looking for another October the 7th here in the United States, that's what they're talking about right now, evolved into a larger regional war involving multiple fronts and charging the geopolitical landscape there in the Middle East. Turkey has been at odds with Israel in the past. During previous confrontations it had with Hamas, this time was different. Erdogan through the year, just another round of violence. Dr. Hay Yeronok, an expert on Turkey from the Dayan Center at Tel Aviv, has said, but after a few weeks he realized Israel was waging an all-out war on Hamas. Erdogan, who is deeply influenced by the same Muslim Brotherhood ideology as Hamas, began to really get aggravated with Israel. And one of the latest dramatic developments in the fall of Bashar Assad regime last month has been taken out of U.S.-backed Kurdish groups in Syria and questioned the Islamic rebels that overthrew Assad and had backed Turkey threatened their territories. Israel has maintained covert relations with the Kurds throughout the years, and so does the United States, seeing it as a possible ally against shared enemies. Turkey is looking to cement further its influence in Syria, which shares a border with Israel. So it's just a matter of time. For years, despite being officially at war, the border was one of Israel's quietest and quickest. Now, as Turkey inches closer to Israel's geographically, this quiet could be interrupted. There is a chance of a future military confrontation between Israel and Turkey. We already know it is. It's Gog and Magog. And an expert on Turkey from Bilan's Department of General History has told Media Line that this is unprecedented as all the events witnessed in the region, because this has never happened. Only in the last day that these two supposed to meet like this. That's why we keep telling you the rapture's here. Every day we keep going more into this. People can keep denying it all they want, but the proof is just keeps coming that we're in the last hours here. And this Turkey and Israel thing and Iran and Israel thing is coming to a head. All these things, Russia playing ball with Turkey and all these different things, these are all end-day signs. That's why we keep telling you to keep looking up, because it's all there. We was talking about Ukraine launches a strategic offensive in Kursk. So they're moving farther into Russia. They just came out of nowhere. They decided to attack Russia inside of Russia in the Kursk region. But not only do that, but they've decided to go in further than what they was. Several Russia's war channels are reporting that Ukraine's forces are advancing in the Russians' Kursk region, according to the War Gonzo. Ukraine troops are attempting to press forward in the city of Sudzha. The channel Operation 2 and Military Information Report. The main assault direction is area near the village of, I won't even try to say it, it's in the district above Kursk. Russia's war bloggers indicate that the Ukraine forces are along the 38K or 004 highway. Video footage released online shows substantial convoys of tanks and armored vehicles. Archangel or Special Forces 2 and two major channels also detailed advances towards the village of Bardan, as well as the villages of Pushkova, Lenadova, and Naklasova. Several channels mention an offensive involving 6 brigades, although others dispute the military information. Notice that the Ukraine is developing additional troops to the field following losses in the vanguard, suggests a deliberate large-scale breakthrough attempt. Numerous Russian military sources highlight the increased use of electronic warfare systems by Ukraine troops during the offensive, trumpeting the need for non-fiber optics drones to counter this. Propagandists illustrate footage of Russian drones attacking Ukraine armed forces vehicles only to quickly lose signal and falter. Former advisor of the government of Kursk, Roman Alekin, also corroborated the reports that the area is under attack, heavily shielded by systems. He suggests that Russia's drones will be rendered pointless through the adversary-employed drones and fiber optic technology. Currently, Russia military correspondents indicate concentrated pressure on the front, with assaults commenting on the southwest of the Kursk region. This is big because Russia has already pretty much got to the point where they're just really getting aggravated with the long-range missiles, and they've been threatening to really go after Kiev. And for this to be happening, this is just adding to it. The world is not slowing down with these wars. They're just advancing. That's all it is. And they're getting more desperate, and that's even worse. Ukraine is not going to give up. NATO is not going to give up Ukraine. I don't care what people think and say that Trump's going to do. They're not going to do it. There's too much money tied in there. And plus, like I said, Satan is going to get his war one way or another, and it's coming. And I believe we're at any time it's coming. And that's the indicators we're getting from the CIA and all this other stuff we've been looking into. They're talking about a major event coming, and not just there, coming to the United States, to suburbs everywhere, that this stuff is coming. That's why we talked about the men with black uniforms that we had seen. And I've had other, even more people from the family message me in the last 24 hours that they saw the guys in black. Another UFO or orb spotted over a U.S. military base in the latest mystery sighting. Reddit's users were left baffled when footage appeared to show an odd orange glow hanging over U.S. military bases. The cause of the UFO light is not clear. Captured over the U.S. appeared to be a hovering UFO with odd glow over the military base. An anonymous user posted the footage from Tennessee to Reddit, showing that the bright orange light over Fort Campbell, a base of the border on the state of Kentucky. The user said that his father, who had significant military experience, was unable to explain what he saw. And I'm looking at it now. I don't know what it is. Just after midnight, my dad was outside watching fireworks when we noticed a bright orange light flying relatively low and maintaining a steady, consistent speed, and it traveled from the northwest with both Fort Campbell and the local airports are located, the user said, according to the Mail Online. My friend's dad and I watched the object together and were surprised with no additional lights, as one might expect on a drone. Initially, I thought it might be a hobbyist drone capturing footage of the fireworks for the new year, but the apartment distance and what was flying was made me second guess my assumption. Onlookers were confused by the orb too, which appeared to be similar to the other objects spotted in the U.S. recently. Reddit also posted a video on December 27th that saw 4 strange orbs in formation in what's supposed to be a no-fly zone over Brooklyn Boulevard, Queens, New York. And this was the same thing that they spotted over this base. But they've been seeing them all over the bases everywhere around the United States and around the world. Now, they talked about a little bit, some of this, they're thinking it's China and Russia that's behind some of it. But these orbs are nothing we've ever seen. So there's a lot of things working here. The great lies put into place. And all these things around the world, the strange weather, the strange everything that's happening is a sign of that. China downplays once again the mystery virus deaths and claims it's safe to travel. So they're sending them out, just like we said. The world is holding its breath, and unconfirmed reports suggest a mystery disease is ravaging China's leading overwhelmed hospitals and crematoriums. And what they do, they send them right back out on the airplanes. Everything's fine, nothing to see. You can't make this stuff up at this point. China has been identified as the source of the CV-19 virus, which went on to spark a global pandemic. And they're repeating it again, looks like. Except this one is going to be way worse, because God's warned us about this one well in advance that it was coming. But we're not going to be here when they lock it down this time permanently, because this one will be locked down permanently. When all this stuff happens, it's a permanent lockdown, and they'll be going from home to home. That's what they're working on. Around the world, over 7 million people died from COVID in the UK. The latest estimates are 208,000 people lost their lives to this disease. Now, unconfirmed local reports said that China are suggesting that the new bug, thought to be connected to the human HMPV, is now causing severe and even deadly results. Usually, HMPV is similar to a mild cold, but lines of sick children and adults are overwhelming the country's healthcare system once again, which is all by design. All this is. This is by design by Satan, I'm telling you. He's got all this stuff ready to go. Respiratory infections tend to peak during the winter season in the northern hemisphere, Mao Ning, Chinese Foreign Minister spokesperson. The disease appears to be less severe and spread on a smaller scale compared to the previous year. I can assure you the Chinese government cares for the heal of the Chinese citizens and foreigners in China. It is safe to travel to China. The Chinese Center for Disease Control and Prevention suggests flu to be behind the story in admissions and cases. And if you trust anything that the Chinese say, you're crazy. That's all I can tell you. All right, let's see what else we got. U.S. is concerned by Russia's nuclear doctrine that they are changing. The United States is very concerned that Russia could be considering the use of nuclear weapons. They do. Ongoing, Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said in an interview with Financial Times published on Saturday. His comments came in response to the questions about Moscow's alleged nuclear saber-rattling, apparently referring to the changes it made to its nuclear doctrine last year. Russia announced updates to its nuclear doctrine in deliberations. Probably why I saw him with that clock, with the domino clock, and he was smiling, because the day that he finally gets to unleash on the United States, which he despises, him and China both despise this country. I believe that's why he was so happy in the dream, because he's finally going to annihilate America. That was probably why he was smiling. In November, Russian President Vladimir Putin approved changes to the doctrine, expanding the list of conditions that could trigger a nuclear response. The updates include scenarios where aggression by however described nuclear weapons is an extreme and forced measure, and stresses Moscow's goal is preventing tensions. But that's not what God has shown us. Eventually, whatever happens that causes all this, it just happens out of nowhere. And from what we've seen of the reaction to people here in America, that everybody has seen it, people in America did not see it coming until it was too late. And most people just sit there and scream. That's all they can do. The sun is flaring again. So we had more sunspots. It's sizzling with activity. Since yesterday, it's produced 3 Class X solar flares. That's why a lot of people will see in the sky glow like they've never seen with lightning in the last 24 hours. We're having major X flares coming off the sun, along with everything else that's happening. Also, there is a swarm of earthquakes in Ethiopia. We've talked about these big gorges opening up there, and now hot water spewing from the earth out. Well, there's major swarms of literally, there's just thousands of earthquakes happening there right now. And they've also got a major volcano getting ready to erupt. The list goes on and on. Let's see. Now we've got this polar thing. We've got all these volcanoes going off. The list goes on and on. It just never stops. Not even for the weather, evidently. All right, further Israel strikes on Iran will lead to full-fledged war. This is coming out from, they're saying the Anatolia from Iran, but they're saying, because they already know that Trump's already told them to go in and take out their nuclear stuff. Trump's already said when he gets in, he's going to take it out. So, and this is going to make Russia and China furthermore go after us and give them weapons. Because they've already said if we go after their nuclear programs in Iran, they will give them nuclear bombs. And you do not want Iran having a ton of nuclear bombs. Very dangerous. And Israel's not going to allow that either. They will use the Samson option, and they will literally, and we know that don't happen. So something's got to happen to slow that down. And it's not Trump. It will be the Rapture. The Wall Street Journal reports that Donald Trump's team is now considering airstrikes on Iran. Now, he's already said he would. That's not a question of if. He said as soon as he gets in, he was going to, and he was going to strike Hamas. Excuse me. Let's see. Anything else I've got here? I'll try to keep it as short as possible. You know, it's saying... All right, this coming in. Long-standing Liberal Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau to announce resignation this week, according to the Globe. So he's going to be stepping down. See, according to U.S. intelligence, Yemens are using Chinese-made weapons. Furthermore, with that Chinese narrative, so that you can tell where it's going and who is going to be fighting who. There's definitely, you see it. They're telling you exactly where this war is going to be. It's going to be between America and NATO and Russia and China. And that's exactly what God has shown us. So it's exactly what God warned us about. But their narrative is that. That's what they're looking at. And it does happen, but we won't be here to see it. We're here when it first starts to go launch, and then we're gone at that time during the loud event. That's the big one. That's the one we've been warning about for years. That's the one. We've all seen it. Let's see. All right, then looks like that's all I'm going to cover tonight. We'll keep some more of this hopefully I'll be back on in the morning. If I'm not, you know what happened to me. Because I have no power. I can hear the trees back there snapping, so I know it's just a matter of time. I'm just enjoying while I still have power. And I've been listening to make sure my heat pump doesn't start to make wild noises and I have to shut it off, because after that, boy, it's going to be fun. Now, there is showing right now on the weather channel. I checked the weather, the radar. And looks like I am going to get, thanks to you all's prayers, I am going to get looks like it's going to change to rain for maybe an hour. That should help us. So it is going to eventually, finally start to change over. Let me look at it again. Looks like around 1 a.m. I should get a break and get some heavy rain, and that's probably not going to be a good thing either, because that's probably going to cause us to flood here. Because if we get this kind of heavy rain on top of this snow we already got, we'll probably start to flood. Boy, if it ain't one thing, it's another. Yeah, that's a lot of rain on top of all the snow we've already gotten. So if we get that kind of rain, we're talking about serious flooding here. Serious flooding. Okay, let's see what else we got. If it ain't one thing, it's another. It's just the way it is. Now, after that, it's going to freeze back over and start to pour the snow again. So it's just one thing after another. Just keep us in your prayers. Keep all family members in your prayers. It's just crazy everywhere. Everywhere you look, it's just crazy right now. But that's good news for us, as Shelley would say. The worse it is out there, the better it is for us, because we're going home to a place I don't have to worry about all this junk anymore. Thank goodness. And Gabe's all for that too. I love each and every one of you. If I don't hear from you again, I'll see you at home. Thank you once again for tuning in to Global Rapture Watchers, where we do daily updates here on YouTube, letting you know that we're one day closer to our Lord and Savior coming back. Thank you for all the support for this channel. This channel was created for God's sheep, those that are waiting for their Lord and Savior to come back and get us in these last days. We do updates once to 2 times a day here on YouTube. Thank you for all your support for the channel. God bless each and every one of you.